150 hotel rooms. We've actually allocated that in 2 different locations. They're intended to be extended stay type of hotels that would support the existing corporate office buildings that are in and around the area. The blue represents residential on the first floor, so these would typically be lobbies. The design of the plans are to have parking behind all the retail so that when you're on the boulevard, you would not be able to see any of the parking. Parking is typically 2 levels, which means the retail that fronts the parking will be 2 levels. So the retail spaces are going to be extraordinarily high, anywhere from 18 to 25 plus feet. So you're walking into a retail that has a very high ceiling. These are typically smaller type of retail, so we're looking for more local type of businesses, not national brands per se. And so the retail spaces tend to be in the neighborhood of 2,500 to 5,000 square foot, with the exception of the one building off to the right, which is more of an 18 to 20,000 square foot specialty type of retail. Could be a specialty market, could be a specialty type of food store. That would be a standalone. The rest is would be incorporated within the buildings. And then above the retail would be residential. So, and then you can see the residential would open out onto the boulevard, but it would also open out into the courtyards. So it's really about creating very positive, a positive feeling when you are within this particular area. A couple of other photos of this. This is again taken, and I'll go back just so you can see it. This is taken on the red with the building all the way on the right next to the Whippany River. That is the retail specialty store on the left, the residential on the right, and you can see that there is a public space that would be for community gathering spaces. There would also be retail that would spill out onto that space, so you have outdoor dining as a part of this. So this is intended to be not only for the residents, but again for the community as a whole, to be able to come and use these spaces, not just those that live here. So it's intended to be for everyone. And then you can see some images on the right from some built environments. Some of these places would have ice skating rinks in the winter. They would have a small jazz band maybe in the summers as a part of a venue for the community. And then you can see some additional images from other places around the country. This is an image taken from the access off of Eden Lane at the roundabout, and in the background you see a large public plaza. Again, you see retail spilling out on both sides of the plaza. The building in the back would also be more of a 1.5 to 2-story retail building. This would be a little bit more of an active space, whereas the first space I showed you is much more passive, green landscape. This would be a little bit more of a hardscape. The blue and the red on the left and the right represent outdoor dining and seating for restaurants that would spill out onto that space. And you can see some images on the right of some typical examples. The top one, you can see how the outdoor dining actually extends past the retail, and then there's a plaza located beyond it. So that's the intention of the space that we've created here. Again, a community type of space. This is looking from the plaza area back towards the single-story specialty market. So you can see the type on the right, the type of streetscape that we're looking at doing in terms of it being very transparent, so that when you're wide sidewalks, we have 14-foot sidewalks to all the way to 22-foot sidewalks. So that allows for dining to be spilled out onto the sidewalks. You can see some of the examples of some different areas. This is an image taken. The Whippany River is the bridge, and the Patriots Path is right before the bridge that will connect up at the bridge. So the bridge is about 250 feet from Eden Lane. So this is taken about halfway between Eden Lane and the bridge, looking towards the roundabout in the town center. And then you can see on the right some images of similar type of regional paths that come up close to, especially the image on the right, close to what would be more like a mixed-use town center concept. And then I'll just end with this image again, which really kind of shows the larger perspective. Just to hit a couple of highlights, as Ed said, the residential buildings would be a maximum of 6 stories, although when you're standing on the boulevard, they would actually look like a 5-story building. Because as I mentioned, the retail would be double height. So it would be 1 story of the retail and then 4 stories of residential above. The hotels would be permitted to go up to 7 stories. The building on the left, which is the residential building that fronts onto Eden Lane, would be a maximum of 4 stories. And that building, because of the topography, sits down a little bit. So although it's 4 stories, from Eden Lane, it's really more like a 3.5 story type of building. So that's kind of the scale of those buildings that you're seeing here. The building in the foreground is more of a 2-story building.
Please hold your comments with
Oh, I'm sorry.
So this is taken from an aerial as you come off of Parsippany and access the site off of Parsippany.
So this is.
Yeah, so Parsippany would be off of the page, but looking down. Yeah.
We're going to open the meeting shortly, and we're going to try and have, give everybody an opportunity to comment, ask their questions. I know you have a lot of questions, quite a presentation. I know we've